Hey everyone, welcome to another video review. This is the Transformers War for Cybertron Siege Voyager Class Apeface WFC-S50. He just came out for, on Amazon of all places. And yeah, here he's using this Ape mode, which we'll put off to the side because we're going to look at the box real quick. And yes, it is a Voyager box, which, you know, all the same things as Voyager stuff. Generations, Transformers, Siege, Apeface. Nice bit of artwork there. I've been doing stuff, Voyager class. There's blacklight stuff on there, although now it's apparently now symbol instead of a... for the most part, instead of a writing. The Decepticon logo. You got the usual picture on the side. On the bottom, you have the copyrights and barcodes and all that stuff. And on the back, you have some of his renders of his various modes and other stuff you can buy, as well as warnings and whatnot on there, and his number, and there you go. It also comes with these instructions, which are, quite frankly, absolutely useless. There's a lot about this transformation that simply is not very well put into there. It's just there's still a lot of stuff about it which simply is not, it just simply isn't very well told. It's just a lot, so just be aware of that. And I would actually recommend watching, say, my transformation review. Just saying that. But yeah, here he is in the Ape mode. And so I know that's not the Ape mode he comes in, but hey, if you want to know how to transform it, watch the other video. I'm starting off in ape mode because, yeah, I can. It's, well, I guess technically an ape. Kind of goofy looking. I guess it's reminiscent of his G1 self, but yeah. Yeah, it's an ape, all right. You got all the stuff from the original. You got his goofy little sharp teeth and mono eye, whatever you want to call it. He at least, you know, kind of looks, you know, it looks like a robotic ape, whatnot, with little wing things on the back and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of neat. I will say this about the alt modes, and yeah, they're charming in their clumsiness. They're kind of goofy looking. Yeah, they're not the greatest looking things. There's a lot about them which are kind of just silly looking, but they're kind of charming in how clumsy they're handled. But it's kind of one of those things that's weirdly, it's G1. It's very G1 reminiscent, but that may not necessarily be a good thing. But hey, I kind of like it just because of it's charming. Again, charming in its clumsiness. Yeah. So yeah, it's got some nice colors. I mean, purple, white, and black. I mean, little Decepticons. So there's some little bits of detail there. Again, those teeth. Yeah. Got the battle damage. We'll get back to that in a little bit. Yeah, but articulation, his head is on a little ball joint here, so up and down, a little side to side. A little bit of a lot of waggle. It's a little limited because of the shape of the head and whatnot, but yeah, you can look up and look down. Can, you know, rotate his head like that. You know, rotate his head like that. It can look left and right. Can't actually do it the full 360 because of the, again, limitations of the head. You got ball joints in the shoulders, so forward and back and outward and all that sorts of stuff there. There's a hinge here, which is limited to how far it can go back. We can go all the way back. His hands go forward about that far and fold all the way up if you want. His legs, there's a limitation. You know, they can go forward and back on that hinge right here. There's only so much you can go. You can only go that far forward before it starts popping stuff out of alignment. Go hard back that far before things start bumping into each other. You got a knee, which can go that far, move that much movement, and you got the foot, which can move that much. So you got some amount of articulation in this mode, but not a whole lot. And he's got a gun up here. So I'll go ahead and transform him into the jet mode next. All right, yeah, jet mode, pretty simple. It's not entirely complete here because, well, you got to show just, he has Titan Master, which, yeah, good time to talk about him. Yep, or Titan Master, Headmaster, whatever you want to call him. You can see his, yeah, robot mode legs are on the, or faces on the back of the legs. Yeah. It's, you know, mostly white, little red head with a little silver goggles. He's got the usual articulation, ball jointed shoulders, so forward and back there. A little limited because, especially since they're so massive. His legs hinge at the hips and knees, mono hinge. You know, so there's not a whole lot there. And his head is on a little tiny ball joint which can go around and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a decent little guy. And yeah, he can do that thing. Yeah, you can sit him down like this so he can sit in the cockpit. There's, of course, the little tiny pegs in there. I hope you can see that. Little tiny pegs in the cockpit, which you know, go into his feet, hopefully. Yeah, it can be a little, it's one of those things where it's, yep, once again, a little bit tricky to get stuff all pegged in, because I'm just remembering how things were with Titan's Return, and a little bit with Power of the Primes as well. Yeah, he goes in there, close that up, and then, yeah, you can close that up and bring this over top, and you know, you have his tail fins in place and everything. And the gun, which, yeah, so the jet mode, again, clumsy, but kind of charming in its clumsiness. It's a brick. I mean, it's a brick with the tiny wings and a nose attached to it. I mean, that is just one solid aerodynamic nightmare. I mean, there's no thrusters back here or anything. It is a brick. You can see the, you know, Apeface chilling down there. Yeah, Apeface. Yeah, yeah. Again, it's kind of clumsy. He's got these little tiny wings, which don't stick out that far, actually. And yeah, it's there's no landing gear, so yeah, he does have a Thomasy stage port right there. That's good. But yeah, it's he's got a little tiny Decepticon symbol, and he's got, hey, look, battle damage around the nose. A lot of it. This weird, like it's all the paint's all scratched up, if anything. So yeah, again, it's kind of not great looking. I mean, it's just, again, I guess you got intakes. I guess those are supposed to be molded in. But yeah, it's a brick. It's not amazing looking in the slightest. It's kind of dumb. The Titan Master has to sit back here. I mean, people figured out kind of a way to get the, you know, Titan Master stay in there in such a way that, you know, you got that right there. But yeah, it's not great, but it's kind of charming because it's, again, like I said, charming in its clumsiness. So it's kind of one of those things, like, I think if you like the G1 guy a lot, you probably like this one too, but if you're looking for a good jet, this ain't it. This ain't it at all. So yeah, I'll go ahead and just get him up to the rest of the way to robot mode. And there we go. It's just plop the head on, and there you go. That's a different port than slightly different than the Titan Masters or something. It's like, it doesn't hold as solid or as hard as the old Titan Master or Titan's Return guys did, but holds in well enough that it's not, you know, and then you have to worry about that coming out anytime soon. Yeah. Of course, the guys' accessories and stuff. But yeah, it's a pretty good looking robot mode, I have to say. Really good, actually. I really like this stuff. I know, yes, again, the really scuffed up, crazy battle damage on the legs here, some on the shoulders as well. A lot of people are not going to be happy about that. I personally, once again, I don't mind it too much. It looks just like scratched up paint to me, but hey, if you don't like it, there's always ways to remove it. I do like this vent detailing right here on the shoulders and stuff. You get the Decepticon symbol. He's got this bone white, I guess you can call it, for large chunks of his torso and arms. Yeah, large chunks of him are bone white. He's got the silver face mask with the red eyes and everything. Yeah, and the purple shoulders. And it's just kind of well done. Although this is kind of weird because of the way these wings work. There's the silver pins in there. By the way, when you do transform this guy, make sure these are extended out and not in, or else you'll bend the wings. Mine, you can see they are slightly bent on mine because he was packaged with these slid all the way in. Don't do that. When you transform to robot mode, make sure it's doing like this because these tab into the back of the legs. If you slide them in, you're going to be bending the wings. They'll slide, but the plastic here will be bending and you're going to warp it. So just be really, really careful with that. So make sure you're doing that correctly. Yeah, one thing I've seen people do, of course, is take the Titan's Return Apeface, remember this guy, and yeah, that's still compatible, so you can give him a slightly different head. You see, it's got black eyes and a somewhat different thing. I mean, he's got a crest and stuff, so yeah, no hinge, so you can kind of see that difference is there. I mean, Yeah, you can see that, you know, versus that. You can see some, while they have some clearly designed, share some design cues, there is some differences there. And just, that's an option. Some people are trying to figure out, you know, keep this guy like inside the Apeface all the time. Although if you do that, this doesn't plug up all the way. So, you know, people are figuring that out. So, you know, if you don't want that, of course, you could also, if you really want to, turn this around and give him a completely different head entirely, which kind of looks. I don't know. I kind of like to look at, you know, it looks like some sort of breathing mask or something with the mono eye. It kind of looks neat in its own right. So, I don't know. You do you. Of course, you can take his accessories. You got this you can use as a shield. It pegs on multiple places here. Although, again, be careful with this. I've heard a lot of people have cracked, you know, ripped, you know, the peg is broken off because this is all apparently just transparent plastic, and it goes in real tight. So they try to remove it, and the peg breaks off. So just be careful with it. The gun, of course, you can go in his hand or whatever. Again, I heard more reports of this where the gun is just oddly enough, it goes in the hand just fine, but none of the other peg holes. However, mine goes in these just fine. That's nice and tight. That's not coming out. A lot of people just say that it doesn't fit, and it's like I guess got lucky because that one's a little loose, but it holds just fine. See. So I don't know. I don't know if just I got a nice one or what, because mine seems to be largely all right. So yeah, those are the accessories you can use. Yeah, of course, his head is on a ball joint, so left and right. You can't really get much of anything else besides left and right because of the shape. Although if you put the Titan's Return one on, you get a lot more range there. So just something to think about. His shoulders can move forward and back all the way, you know, 360 rotation, and outward about that far. It's a nice little pin thing there, pin disc, I guess. Got bicep swivels. Got an elbow, which goes 90 degrees. You can also fold it, you know, like this if you really want to, but there. No waist because of his transformation, because this is where this is hinged and everything. The waist is not possible, unfortunately. So no waist articulation whatsoever, which is disappointing, but understandable. His hips can go forward, back. They get hindered by the back plate here. They go about that far back unless you start hinging them out. Outward, they go about that far back. Yeah, they go that far out, that far. So they can do quite the splits. Thigh swivel, knees, about 90 degrees, maybe slightly less than, like maybe 89.5 degrees. And his ankles can tilt pretty far. There's a little peg here for this foot if you want, but I don't like to leave it pegged because, you know, leave it in a stance and it keeps it more stable. And you got a toe joint, which can go up. So you got that little toe joint. You can also go down a tiny bit as well, although that starts popping it off. So that's just a little simple clip. Yeah, like wheels. So yeah, it can go up if you want. So you can have a walking pose. So there you go. Just mostly great articulation and just some one unfortunate drawback with the weight regarding the waist. But yeah, you can get some pretty good poses out of the guy. You know, pretty good for a mainline figure and everything. Yeah. And yeah, I do genuinely like this guy a lot. Once there's that initial impression of when you first getting, you're trying to transform, it's like, ew, because everything's all loosey goosey because you're not getting it all pegged together because you think it's going to come apart on you you're going to break it because it's like this feels too tight, and then you don't do what you need to do, so then it's all loose and whatnot, and it doesn't feel good, and you're like, this figure sucks. But then if you find out that, oh, actually no, you are supposed to do that and make it feel like you're going to break it, and then it's all nice and solid in every mode. Once you know what you're doing, every mode is like solid. Like when it comes to actual it's staying together. When actually staying together, the robot mode again looks great. The two alt modes again, I feel again aren't very good looking per se. There's kind of again, but they are charming in their clumsiness in that regard. But yeah, he is really, I feel, overall actually pretty solid purchase, especially right now since on Amazon's $25, just $5 off for whatever reason. So yeah, there's that if you're looking into getting this guy. Yeah, that's it. I feel he's a good purchase, particularly if you like G1 Apeface. If those alt modes really turn you off, he's probably not worth the money. But if you kind of like them, or like me, just they think they're kind of bad looking, but still kind of like them anyway, might be worth looking into. Also, sometimes because the way his feet are designed has a tendency to want to not fall over, but lean back a little bit more than I like. But any which way, he looks good, and I personally like him well enough to not regret picking him up. It really comes down to those 2 alt modes for, I think, when it comes to whether or not he's worth it. Oh, he also has another Tamagotchi stage port right here on the back for his robot mode. So just an FYI on that. So that's it. I hope you liked this review, found it informative and entertaining. I hope you like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Hopefully this channel doesn't get nuked because YouTube is terrible about implementing federal policy. Yeah, I hope you check out my Patreon and coffee and all that stuff. And I hope to see you at the next video review. So see ya.